Welcome to Empire Building, the podcast where we talk about building big businesses and even bigger lives. I'm your co-host, Seychelle Van Poel.
I'm Wendy Papazian.
And I'm Sarah Reynolds. Today, we are continuing our sales funnel series, and we are going to talk about how to get appointments to show up. And I'm excited because today we've got the OGs in the house. And I'm super excited. How are you guys?
I was in London last week. It was so awesome.
Well, I knew that. What was I saying? Of course.
I was in London last week for 48 hours, and it was an amazing 48 hours.
That's all?
Yeah.
You're such a jet setter.
What was the one highlight of London?
I got to hear so many languages, which I loved hearing. And I got to drink a pint and have some great Indian food. And and I got homemade. Our friend across the pond, Ben Taylor, and Natalia her mom made homemade Russian beef ravioli. Y'all,
like
you have
pierogies?
It's called something different, but yes. And like a homemade salad, and she made this little like apple pastry dessert, which I couldn't stop eating. It was so yummy. And so I just ate my way through London. It was amazing. And I had just so much delicious food. It was fantastic. I still don't know what day it is or time it is, but it was amazing.
That.
How are you?
We should totally do an episode in a British accent.
Oh, darling, we should.
I am so down for that. And
Mind the
Quinn,
gap.
every time I talk in a British accent, Quinn cringes. She's like, don't. I think it's pretty good, though.
The highlight of my day are Wendy is wearing her balls. Mm-hmm. And I just appreciate so much when Wendy wears her balls.
And they're
So please check out our videos.
You do. The seasonal balls are out, and they're a really nice size, I have to say.
Okay. Let's talk about the sales funnel. Getting awkward in here.
Okay, so
You got a red face.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So we've already talked through lead generation, right? So we can lead generate through prospecting or reverse prospecting. So we talked that through. We added in a bonus episode of our call reluctance episode, which made a huge difference for anyone that has ever listened.
Oh my gosh.
To that episode.
So good. That's one of our all-time best episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're actually gonna air that again this Thursday too for you, because we want you to have it again because it's such a good one and it's a great one to share with your sales teams, especially right now. So
Well, it actually just aired
gift.
on a week prior.
Oh,
it just aired.
You're
that.
right.
It just aired
didn't
it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I knew that.
It's all good.
So
Yes,
terrible.
You knew that.
Thank you for
knew
keeping
that.
us on track,
Okay.
Sarah. We're so excited about it. We just really want you to know about it. Again,
Yes.
so if you didn't listen to
Yes.
it, go back and re-listen to it.
Yes. So today, once you make those calls and book those appointments, one of the key parts of the sales funnel is actually getting face-to-face with the customer, right? And just because you book an appointment doesn't mean that they actually will show up for the appointment. So today we have a quick tactical episode on how to get those leads, how to get those appointments to actually show up. And because it's really hard to impact them, to commit to helping them if we can't get in front of them. And so what are some tactics that we can do to ensure that they show up? So let's dive in. And there are 7 tactics that we're going to go over.
Love that.
And so what's the first one, Say?
I love this one, which is calling the leads you generate, like actually calling them and texting and emailing and following up with them is critical in the sales funnel. And if you're struggling with that, right, definitely go listen to last week's episode. But there was a Harvard study that shows that most people fall off with their follow-up after time 2 or 3. But the reality of it is, right, that we know that the majority of sales transactions actually happen closer to follow-up number 8. So if you're not getting to number 6, 7, and 8 on your follow-ups, the odds are you have a very low chance of converting them unless you get them right away. So that follow-up is really clutch because you have the initial quick grab of the people who are willing to talk to you right away. And then you have the long tail of the leads that convert after that if you're not doing that consistent follow-up, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
And we did a whole episode called "The Fortune is in the Follow-Up." We'll put that in the show notes for you guys if you need to re-listen to that. And this is everything. Like, we could literally stop here in terms of getting people to show up, because you guys have all been there, right? Yep. Maybe it's a friend who is inviting you over for dinner or a party or something like that. And you get the invite, you're like, I don't know, maybe. And then you get the reminder and you're like, I don't know. Then you get another reminder, and then your friend texts you. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you know what? I am going to go. So there's just power in messaging someone a lot and asking them to show up. It will actually overcome kind of their reluctance to show up. And it's everything.
So true. I think how I like to look at follow-up, and again, we do have a whole episode on it, and we talk about this in the episode, but I think it's really important for what we're talking about today. Follow-up is relationship building. A lot of people think that it's like that you're bothering them or
that you're bugging them.
Yeah, that you're bugging them. And really the best way is that you're relationship building, and we show up for those relationships that matter to us. And so when you do a good job building those relationships with the leads that you've generated, with those that you're talking with, you will have a higher likelihood of them actually showing up. So it's critical, and that's why we had to talk about it as step number 1, because it's so important to build that strong relationship for them to show up.
Love that.
Love that.
Okay, number 2, to get them to show up, they have to actually understand why they should show. I know that sounds pretty...
It's a good point.
Simple.
What am I doing? Where am I going? And why am I going to be there?
Yeah. I was coaching one of our agents this morning, and I said, "Were you able to book that next appointment with them?" And she said, "No, I've asked 3 times." And I said, "Okay, why do they think you want to meet with them?" And she goes, "Oh, well, I don't know." And I said, "Okay, so if they don't understand the purpose of the meeting, what's in it for them to meet with you above a competitor, then it's going to be really hard to get them to show for it." They might have said yes, that they're and sometimes just to get you off the phone, right? Let's be real. Okay.
Yeah.
And how to make sure that we're continuing to build that relationship and then also get them to show up is making sure that we're really clear about the value of the appointment. Now, one of the things that I see a lot of people, mistakes I see them make, is that they start sharing their value of working with them to get the appointment. And you want to share some of that, but you want to use that as the main reason at the actual appointment. The purpose of the call is to share the reason why they need to meet with you above anyone else. So what's in it for them to meet with you above anyone else?
Love that. Love that. Well, then number 3 is you want to book that appointment as soon as possible after that conversation so they don't forget who you are. I mean, we all think we're awesome and unforgettable, but the reality is we're not. We're not pizza, and
or tacos.
So you need to, or tacos. Jinx!
Not at all.
I love it. We're synchronicity. Yeah. So for real estate, our inside sales agents try to book buyer and seller appointments within 48 hours, right? So within 2 days of speaking with them, you get a live person in front of them. And that may not be possible because of the buyer or seller's schedule. And you never want it to be as a result of the agent's schedule, right? This actually just happened on our team. We have an agent whose business is kind of blowing up right now. She's doing a lot of business. Awesome. And she actually was just sharing in our sales meeting that she had booked a coffee a week later. And by the time that rolled around, it was too late. She'd already booked with someone else. So it's a tough lesson to learn. And it's really hard when you're busy. It's really hard when you're busy and trying to prioritize everything. So
that's such a real example, Wendy, that many times we want to book appointments around our schedule. And what matters most is their schedule and the likelihood of meeting with them. So rely on others on your team. If you have a team, rely on others. They can do the initial appointment and continue building the relationship. Not everything has to fall on you. And it's important that the appointment happens and that you don't lose it to a competitor. That's what's important, the most important.
Yeah. I think I love that. And this is where an abundance mentality, I think, is really important too, because you see, especially when a market contracts, like it has been across a lot of the parts of the country, and you see people like trying to grip for business. If something doesn't fit in their schedule, there's a temptation to keep it for yourself and book it far out. But the problem is if you lose it, you didn't just lose it for you, you lost the opportunity for somebody else on your team as well. And so coming from abundance, we talk about that on our team of like, if anyone's going to get it, let's make sure it's one of us. Like, and there's a law of reciprocity, right? If you're going to push it out there, someone else is going to want to share it back with you too. And so we really try to focus on that abundance mindset of, there is enough business out there for everyone if everyone's doing their part. So I love that. Don't grip it so tight you can't share.
Yeah. And if you do have a big gap between, let's say someone's coming into town in a month, right? That's entirely possible. You might have had a meeting with them on Zoom and then they're coming in town in a month. So what are the things that you're going to do in the next 30 days to stay in relationship with them? Are you going to text them information on what's going on in the Austin real estate market? Are you going to send them a little gift maybe? Are you going to set them up on updates on neighborhoods that you talked about? Like, what are those things that you can do so that you stay in touch with them for the next 30 days? Any other ideas there? What do you guys do?
I like to pause when that happens and just put myself in their shoes for a moment. So like you're a relocator and you're not able to meet with them. The client is a relocator. You're not able to meet with them for a month. Well, what does a relocator need? Okay. And every week you're giving them something that they need because you put yourself in their shoes. If you were relocating to Austin, what would you need, right? A seller that maybe is in we just had this happen. They are in the Philippines visiting family and they're going to be there for 6 weeks. And so they booked an appointment for us for 7 weeks out. Okay, well, there's a lot that can happen in the 7 weeks where you can lose them. And so you want to think every week, how are you furthering the relationship with them? So like when a house sells in their neighborhood, do they hear about it from you, right? So what are the things that they might need between now and then to build that relationship? Even a simple thinking about you matters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I love that
how are you doing? Yeah, how's your travels going? What'd you do that was fun today? Yeah. And sometimes those things actually build the relationship more, the little personal touches.
For sure.
One, it's also not assuming that once you have the business, you have the business. We constantly have to keep earning it. And so like we sometimes will even break up if somebody's farther out, let's say they're a winter or spring client right now, but we know that we'd like to work with them. We're thinking ahead of like what will help with marketing their property down the road. Like, should we go ahead and break it up and do photographs of the outside now while it's pretty before all the leaves have changed and fallen? So we're the only green grass, pretty yard. What are the things you can do to differentiate yourself to help think through that now? We have one property that has been having trouble, and we're the servicing on the back end is important with that too. And this morning I was trying to think about like, do I need to get like a priest to bless this house this morning? Like, we think these are the things that as business people and entrepreneurs, you think about on getting creative. I mean, how many St. Francis's have you buried upside down in someone's yard? So many. So, you think about even the quirky things too. What?
None.
When did you start? What year?
2009.
Okay.
Have you ever done that, Sarah?
I have buried so many.
I have not personally buried them. I've known that the client was burying them. I have not.
You didn't send them to the client? Y'all.
I don't know what the proper term is for it. Like,
okay.
Like
I have a new servicing tip for you.
Why don't you explain to everyone what we're talking about?
There is St. Francis is a saint that you supposedly
really,
in case you didn't get it by the name, that supposedly if you bury him upside down in your yard, not in a flower pot, but in a yard, he is supposed to assist in the selling of your home. So if you hit a tough market, which for those of you that went through the 06 through 08 market, it was a little hard. And I was a new listing agent, y'all. I didn't know what I was doing. I could use all the divine help I could get. So St. Francis and I were like going to appointments together. And I buried so many of them in people's yards. That we have like a whole stash in our office. So I'm not opposed
in my
to
mind,
all the help.
I see little young realtors say, like walking into the listing appointment, sitting down at the kitchen table, like bringing the St. Francis out on the table.
I did.
Hi, I'm saying St. Francis.
I brought my friend
St.
with me.
Francis is the patron saint of the environment and animals.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was
I guess.
Josephine. I thought it was. I think we might have the saint wrong. It starts with a J,
well,
I think.
I'm gonna.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in the show notes.
Is it Saint Joseph? Maybe it's Saint Joseph. Saint Francis. You're right. So it's Saint Joe. Saint Joseph. Joe and I go. Clearly
Joe
he's in my
and you
office. Yeah, Joe and I go on appointments. So, just saying, there are creative ways to build conversation. And sometimes
Wendy's thinking
Saint
Client.
Joseph is the patron saint of virgins.
Oh, that's not
Are you
it either.
sure?
Google, you should. All right, if you're listening to this right now, I'm going to go up to my office and see which saint it is. I'm like, are you a virgin? Can I bury this in your yard?
No wonder that all those houses didn't sell back then.
This is a different conversation that I'm all of a sudden now having with my sellers. They're like, why do you care about my virginity? I'm like, apparently I need to bury it in your yard.
Wendy's like, yeah, I still didn't do that.
I care about you in a holistic manner, client. All of it. It's important.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's exciting. So the next part is number 4. I'll move us along.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
Number 4.
Hold on.
Okay.
Just to clarify, it is okay. So if you Google, okay,
Yeah,
and we know
it's
the
Joseph,
Google
right?
is truth.
The
I mean,
Google's
come
right.
on.
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
So I just Googled Saint to bury during home sale, and it is a Saint Joseph home seller kit you can buy on
it's like
Amazon
it's a
for
little
$6.94 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently it is Saint Joseph.
But I guess maybe it helps
wow.
you in many ways. Maybe it helps
Yes.
you in many ways.
Yes.
That's what.
Yes.
That's
Do
what
you
I'm
think
gonna
Saint
say.
Joseph ever would have thought that this would be his legacy?
I bet, especially because you're supposed to bury him upside down. I bet he's like, why? Why is this me? Why is this me?
Why?
If I could go a couple 100 years into the future, this would not be what I chose. I don't know. I like St. Francis.
Actually, it's going to be fun. When you're in heaven, St. Joseph's going to be like, hey, listen, you know what?
You
Those
used and
years
abused me.
between 2003 2006, we just need to have a little combo about that.
We need to chat. I'm going to be like, no one thought about you more than I did, Joe. No one. Literally no one. So, yeah, I can't wait to go to heaven and discover that. That's going to be great. So number 4 is once you set the appointment, you want to send them an email and a text after that call setting the appointment, thanking them for their time, reiterating the why behind the appointment also. And it can be one of two things. It can be reiterating the why of like the value proposition that they're going to talk about, right? We're going to talk about how we make you more money for your home. Or we're going to talk about how we are going to get you the best deal on a new construction house or whatever that is. You can also talk about like, we're going to talk about the game plan to get you moved to North Carolina in the fastest amount of time, or how we're going to take care of your grandmother's house with the least amount of stress. And so you either want to tie it back to the motivation that you've uncovered on the call as to why the person wants to work with you and do their sale, or the value proposition that you're providing that differentiates you from somebody else and why you're going to go into the details behind that when you meet. But that reminds them why they want to keep the appointment, because you do want them to keep it. So they show up.
One of the things that has helped me with this is like when they're a first time home buyer or a first time seller, talking about the appointment as an education process. And so and saying, education is power. And so when we sit down, you're going to understand the entire process of buying your first home. And oh, by the way, I'm bringing a book with you to help you on that you can
Love
read.
that.
One of my favorite books to give away is a book called Your First Home. It's about purchasing your first house. And many times people will show up for an educational event when it has to do with a big purchase. And so if you can tie it into education versus a selling appointment, you will have a higher likelihood many times of them showing up. So I love that.
That's so smart. I
that.
actually say this all the time. I say, oh, it sounds like you're in the information gathering part of selling or buying. And people always respond, so, oh, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm in the information gathering part of, getting ready to buy or sell. And it just puts people at ease.
Love that.
I love that.
Love that.
You're
I'm
so
putting
good,
in
Wendy.
the show notes.
Yeah.
I'm
Go
putting
ahead.
that link to the book. I'm putting the link to St. Joe and
Your First Home.
the book in the show notes. So
Awesome. Awesome.
Not St. Joe.
St. Joseph.
No, it's St. Joseph.
Joseph. Oh, I thought
Yes.
no, okay, it's not St. Francis.
It's
No.
not St. Francis. He is
okay.
of the animals. He's animals.
So we're putting the virgin one in there.
Yes,
we
we're
are.
going to help with
Got
multiple
it.
ways for our clients.
Yes.
With St. Joseph. Yeah.
Some of our listeners might have that problem.
Hey, you know what? We're
Not a problem.
Big business
No,
and a
it's
bigger
abs-
life.
It's actually
We
not
wanna-
a problem.
We want to help you.
I take
Yeah.
that back.
We want to help you with whatever you need help with.
Listening.
Well,
Where's our producer?
Oh,
Help. Okay. Anyway,
I
moving
love-
on here.
This is why you don't start an episode saying it's going to be quick and tactical, as we add in a lot of funny things to make sure that doesn't happen. But no, what I was going to say is I love Wendy has such an amazing skill of selling without someone putting their guard up.
Yeah.
And that's an example of that. Like, so asking, oh, it sounds like you're in an information gathering phase. That is such a powerful thing to say. And so
Agreed.
everything that you can do to build trust on that phone call will actually lead to them showing up. And so what can you do to build trust and make sure that their guard isn't up to where they don't feel like they're coming into an appointment that they have to make a decision. So another thing that we like to say a lot is just a reminder, you're not obligated to work with us during the appointment. And also it's completely free. The appointment's free. And I know that sounds like basic, but don't assume the consumer knows what costs are included or not included. And almost every time when we're talking about educating someone or giving information, their first question in their head is, does this cost money? And so the appointment doesn't cost money, right? And so making sure that they understand that is key to getting them to show up. And then after you do that, step number 5 is sending a reminder message the day before or the morning of, reiterating what the meeting's about and why and how excited you are to meet with them. And so I prefer to use the word reminder versus confirmation because that will have a higher confirmation means that it's questionable, right? Whereas reminder is I'm going to be ready to go at 1:00 today to meet with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just reminding you that this is what we're going to go over and I can't wait to see.
Or like this is even a little bit more aggressive. You can say just confirming our appointment at 1:00. Like no question mark, just a period at the end of that. See you then,
Yes, a statement versus a question. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. So smart. Okay, well, what do we do if they don't show up? So I had a season in my real estate career where I did a lot of for sale by owners, a lot of expireds, and I was the main listing agent doing that. And I went to a lot of no-shows, no-shows. I showed up and there's nothing more frustrating than, having a hard conversation with an expired seller, going through all of that, knowing they're going to be difficult, and then getting there, and then they're not there. It makes you feel terrible. And when that happens, sometimes multiple times in a day, that can be a real downer. So what do we do? So we remember, first of all, that they're not really thinking about you, especially if it's, not somebody who's your close friend, somebody maybe you don't know, friend of a friend, or maybe you're calling an expired or a for sale by owner or something like that. Like maybe they just aren't thinking about it. Maybe they don't really care that much if you're there or not, or maybe something came up. So don't take it personally.
Yeah.
They're not saying no to you. They just said no to the time commitment. Right? They're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to the time commitment. And then don't make them feel bad, right? There's nothing worse than if you're running late or something happened, like, hey, where are you? Or, I'm here. Where are you? That makes you feel really terrible as someone who maybe something happened or maybe they forgot. Humans, they run from conflict.
Yeah.
That's just a natural human behavior. They just run from conflict. And if they feel really bad, they're just going to ghost you. That's it.
Yeah.
They're gonna. They don't have that much invested in the relationship. Yeah, a lot of times maybe you've met them that morning on the phone, and you're meeting them that night. They have almost nothing invested in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot invested.
Yes.
You're like, wow, this is.
You also have something
could
to
be
gain
potential
from it.
business.
They don't know
Yeah.
they have something to gain yet.
Exactly.
Such a good point, Say.
Exactly. So just come from curiosity. Always come from curiosity. Hey, are you okay? I'm here. I just want to make sure everything's okay. I was hoping to share X with you this evening. But, no worries. We can find a different time to get together. So just make it very low pressure, low conflict, so that they feel comfortable actually rebooking that appointment with you. Because if you scare them off, they're just going to ghost you, and you will literally never hear them again. And you'll have gone through all of that and been ghosted, and makes you feel really bad. So, and then give them something of value. Hey, well, you know what? I know we couldn't meet today, so I just was thinking of you, and so I thought I would send you this. So again, you're just giving them a little something, trying to build rapport, and then ask them if there's a different time that would work. Hey, you know what? I know last night didn't work. I'm free tonight, or maybe this weekend would be better. Let me know which one works for you, and then follow up is always the king.
I love that.
I think sometimes, especially in real estate, and I know that all of these things can be applied no matter what industry you're in. But in the real estate industry, sometimes I tell a lot of our agents, there are two sort of types of clients, some that want to sit down first, and then some that want to test drive how we work, and don't take offense with one or the other. And so sometimes when they don't come to like a sit down meeting, well, I like to view it, okay, do they want to test drive me? Do I need to show them a home so they can see how I work and what I bring up while I'm showing the home? And don't take offense to it. Again, you're just building the relationship, and they didn't wake up thinking about your business like you did, right? And so just don't take it personal. Understand that they're humans. They have a lot going on outside of searching for homes or selling their home. And what do you need to do to build that relationship further, just as Wendy described?
I love that. Well, and then your last part of making sure your clients show up and then they commit to working with you, right, is you never leave one appointment without the next one set, no matter what the outcome of the appointment is. So if they're not ready to commit yet, you want to have the next step ready. It's when will you see them again? When are you going to have a conversation again? And what are the things that are going to happen in between now and then? Take really good notes. So Sarah, it was great meeting with you today. It sounds like you're not ready to make a decision yet. Why don't we plan to have a conversation on Monday? Would noon work for you? Great. Why don't I plan to give you a call at noon on Monday? And it sounds like I've got some homework here. I've got 3 different resources that I promised that I would get for you. I'll send those to you between now and then we'll plan to chat about your decision between now and Monday, or we'll plan to talk on Monday at noon. Is there anything else you need from me between now and then before you make your decision? Right? Whatever that is, you're working to move them to the next part in the cycle, whatever part of that cycle that is. And that sales really is, it's a simple process of moving the needle forward just one step at a time and building that trust and rapport. And some people are hot and fast and come into the decision really quickly, and other people take more time because this isn't at the top of their radar. It's something they need to do, but it's not number 1 on their list right now. It could be number 6. And so until it's number 1, you have to prove that you're going to be the one in business that's there consistently until they are ready to make that decision.
And this is so important right now.
Yes.
Because so many buyers, so many sellers, they're on the fence. They don't want to sell. Is it a good time? It's not a good time. It doesn't feel like it's a good time. I know you're telling me that it's a good time, but it doesn't feel like a good time. And so, we are having long relationships with people, sometimes 6 months, a year, 18 months. I mean, I think we all need to be prepared to have really long relationships with people through the end of next year. Right? And what are your systems around that?
So true. The, confusion many times causes people to do nothing. And there is a lot of confusing things going on in our world. And so that's what's causing the uncertainty. And what's important right now, especially as you move clients through the sales funnel, is that you look at it as relationship building and celebrate each step. So like I was talking to my ISAs yesterday morning, because Wednesday we had one of the lowest appointment book days we've had in our history. And so there was a lot of anxiety. My inside sales agent leaders were very anxious. They felt like they were failing. And then I looked and we had talked to 230 people.
Wow.
That same day.
Amazing.
And so I just went out yesterday morning and I said, guys, we started a relationship or continued a relationship with 230 families. You guys did amazing yesterday. And just celebrating that every conversation that we have an opportunity to talk to someone is another step in the relationship building process. So I love that you're bringing this up, Wendy, because it's so real right now. And we will get so discouraged.
Yeah.
We will get
and this is how we're going to win.
Yes.
I mean, this is literally how we're going to win, is by continuing these relationships and moving them along in the funnel. And so it's very different. It's a very different skill set than the last couple of years in real estate when it's been speed to lead, quick close. Let's do it as fast as we can. And now we have to completely switch gears, which is, get into relationship with these people for a long time. Yeah. And a lot of sellers are going to be basically saying, you know what, let's try this again next year. I mean, we're seeing a lot of it. They're just like, you know what, it's not the time. I'm not finding the house I want. I don't want to pay all that money. And so just getting systems in place for staying in touch with people for the long haul is literally everything.
There's two keys, having been through 2 of these cycles now, that I pay attention to with this. Number one is asking them.
Well, the first one is the little statues that get buried in the front yard. That's
which
the first
you already
one.
are going to have a link to in the show notes. I've already added it. Okay, so I have 2 other things for you.
Our new sponsor,
outside of
the
Joe.
Catholic Church.
Today's episode is brought to you by St. Joe and the Catholic Church.
Catholic Church.
So the 2 things that we look for is, number one, what could happen that would cause their motivation to change? Is it affordability, right? So if interest rates all of a sudden are dipping, we're making a flag of a note to reach out to those people. Is it a life change that's happening? Like they need to save up, or they're waiting for the end of the year for a bonus or something like that? Or is it like maybe it's a marriage, a divorce, a job, a birth, a death, whatever that is. Like really understanding what that is, because a lot of people will say, I'm not ready yet. I'm ready in a year. I can't tell you how many conversations we've had, maybe next summer. And you know what's going to happen is interest rates are going to change, and February is going to roll around, or March is going to roll around, and all of this hits at once, and you're calling them in summer and they already bought in April. So not assuming that the timing they're giving you is the actual timing is really important. And then the other part of that is just asking for permission to stay in touch with them. Hey, Wendy, it sounds like you're not ready right now to make this decision. Is it okay with you if I follow up in about 30 to 45 days, since we're thinking it's going to be next year, and just touch base with you and let you know what's going on with interest rates in the market at that point, just in case you have any questions, right? And whatever that is, like ask for permission to stay in touch. So then when you call them, it's, hey, Wendy, I'm calling like I promised I would, right? You're following up then on the permission. It's not that you're calling to bother them. And I think when you get that permission up front, it makes the follow-up calls a lot easier, because you're not then trying to sell and tell, you're calling to consult and help. And that's a big difference too.
I love that. So Say just gave all the cliff notes on our follow-up episode. And so that you just got that. We just saved you so much time right now for you to make more follow-up calls. Okay. And so don't get discouraged. What she's saying is don't get discouraged if they don't show up or as you navigate this. It's all about relationship building, and try your best to own what we can control, which is the process to attempt to get more to show up. So making sure we're calling all the leads, sharing why they need to meet, what's in it for them, booking the appointment as soon as possible, making sure that we're sending email and text message after the call, thanking them for their time and reiterating the why, sending a reminder message the day of and or the day before, always making sure to follow some steps if they don't show up to build that relationship, and then never leaving one phone call or one appointment without the next step set in your system to make sure that you're in front of them again. And so thank you guys for joining us today on how to get more appointments to show up.
Bye, guys.
If this episode was good, hold on. If this episode was good, okay, leave us a 5-star review. It would mean so much to us. And get out there, keep leading a big business, and don't forget your big life. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.